All right, we're going to do our first lesson in the measurement unit. This is lesson measurement 8-9, right prisms. And you can take the prisms that you constructed last first starting activity, and we're going to be using these today to kind of identify what a right prism is. So first off, a prism is any three-dimensional shape that has faces, edges, vertices, and bases. Okay, and it's got some other criteria as well. So every prism has got two bases. Now, a base is one of the faces here. So I've got, this is my base here. It's a face. This is a face. This is a face. This is a face here. Now, wherever the faces meet, they meet along an edge. Wherever the edges meet, they meet at a vertice or a point. So face, edge, vertice. Okay, so every prism has two bases, and this is the bottom base, and this is the bottom face, and this is the top face. So the basis of a prism is always going to be a congruent polygon. A polygon is just a multi-sided shape with straight sides. So they're always going to be congruent, which means they're always the same. So in this case, this side here is the same as this side here. Those are congruent. Okay, so let's take a look at our work for this lesson. And let's check out number 1. Now, number 1 says, shade one base of the prism and then name the prism. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pen and you're just going to shade in the base, and we'll name it. Now let's name that one. That one here, there has how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides on it. So that's going to be a hexagonal prism. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing for the next two there. You're going to choose one of the bases, you're going to shade it in, and you're going to name it based on the number of sides that it has. Okay? What shape are the faces that are not bases? So if I take a look at everything that's not a base, it's going to have a specific shape. So if I take a look at this face here, or this face here, or this face here, those are all a single shape, and those shapes are rectangles. I'm just drawing on my screen here, so you'll have to bear with me if my printing is not fantastic there. So let's check out what else we've got going on there. Oh, better take it off the other tool there. Oops. Okay, let's take a look at question 2. How many of each type of face would you need to make the prism shown? So we've got A, B, and C. A, B, and C. And if I take a look at A, I can see that I'm going to need 1, 2 triangles. So that one there is 2. And how many rectangles? How many rectangle faces do I have? I've got 1, 2, and 3. I've got 3 rectangle faces. And that's how many faces I need to make that prism there. Let's take a look at the third question. Before we do that, let's check out this little box right here. When a prism stands on one base, the other base becomes the top face. So if I take my prism and I hold it this way, this now is the bottom face, and this is the top face. If I rotate it, then this is the bottom face and this is the top face. So it doesn't matter whichever way I orient it. Whatever's on the bottom is the bottom face, and whatever's on the top is the top face. Whenever we have that, the side edges must be vertical. Okay, and we can use that to define whether, in question 3, some of those are actually right prisms. And it's a right prism because this makes a right angle. So it's a 90-degree vertical prism. That's how I know if it's a right prism. So let's check out A. In A, that one's a right prism because I can see that that one actually does make a right angle there. It's vertical. Okay? Some other ones may be prisms, but they are, and some of these won't be prisms as well. Which other ones here would be vertical prisms? Well, it looks like E is a vertical prism. It's got a bottom face and a top face, and the other sides are vertical. And what about B? Is B a prism? Well, it does have a base, but does it have a top face? It doesn't. So it must not be a prism. Sorry, that's B. There we go. Go ahead and finish off question 3A. And part B says, choose one shape you said was not a prism and explain why it's not a prism. Well, let's do B, because I already picked that one. B is not a prism, and B doesn't have a top face. Okay, so I've explained why B doesn't meet the criteria of being a right prism, or why it's not a prism at all. Now you're going to like this next lesson, especially you, Ashton, because it's about drawing, and I know how much you love to draw. Actually, you just usually draw guns, but we're going to draw some prisms here. How to sketch a right prism. So if we check out right here, how to sketch a right prism. Step 1, sketch 2 congruent bases. So we remember our bases must be identical. And then step 2, we're going to join the corresponding vertices. So corresponding vertices means whatever one would line up with the other one, we're going to join those so that our other sides are parallel. And then we're going to use an eraser to make the hidden edges dashed instead of solid lines. So I'm going to give that a go here. Now I don't have a ruler tool, but I would suggest using a ruler. I'm just going to draw my lines between the corresponding points here. Now this one here in the backside would be hidden. So let's draw that in, dot it. Okay, so that's all we have to do to draw the right prism for a triangular right prism. Go ahead, do the rectangular right prism and the pentagonal right prism. We're going to go ahead and we're going to skip question 5. You don't have to do question 5. It's just extra practice. Basically, you draw 2 faces that are congruent and then you join them together. Now, if we're going to talk about how to draw a right prism standing on its base, that's a little different than the ones up here. The ones up here were, they weren't standing on their base. They were just kind of lined up the other way. To draw it on its base, we have to make sure that one is directly on top of the other. And then when they're on top of the other, then we just join the corresponding vertices. Okay, so we're going to use the steps above here, the steps right in this box here, and then we're going to sketch some prisms. Okay, so I'm going to do some pretty easy ones. I'm going to try like a triangle one here. So I've got to draw a triangle. Now my triangle is a little bit flattened. That's okay. And I want to have it so it's lined up vertically. And then I'll just draw my lines there. There we go. Easy peasy. I've got that drawn vertically there. Go ahead and do all of those. In fact, I think this one here should, at the bottom, should probably be a dotted line because it's in the background. There you go. Perfect. What a work of art. Brilliant. Go ahead and do question 6 and then come back and do question 7 here. All right, question 7 says, match each set of dimensions to the sketch that fits best. Then mark the length and height and width of each prism in the sketch. Well, if I check out the different dimensions that I'm given here, one thing I notice right off the bat is A has got a square face. And I noticed in the dimensions there, only one of those is probably going to have that square face. Well, actually, 2 of them have at least one dimension that is squared. But the one that looks like it's probably the best fit is going to be this one here, right? It's 3 by 3. So that one there has got to be A. If that one's A, can you figure out which one would be B and which one would be C? Go ahead and give it a try. And then unpause the video. Part 8 says write 200 as a multiple of three numbers in three different ways. So what three numbers can I multiply to make 200? There's lots of different ways that I can multiply to make 200. Let's see. I know that 2 times 10 is 20. Times 10 is 200. Okay, so that's one way that I could make 200 by multiplying three different numbers. Okay, part B says use the numbers from part A to sketch three rectangular prisms with a volume of 200 centimeters. So what they're saying is they're drawing a rectangle, and we're just going to skip that one there. What it would look like is you draw the dimensions here. So I could do a base 10 by 10. And then just connect them if I said that one was 2. Okay, so it'd be 10 by 10 by 2. Mine's a little out of proportion. And that's it for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed it.